Sprinkled YouTube, that's right, I am on one today because I'm excited as hell to talk about this. Not because it's necessarily a good topic, but it's because I got a lot to say about it. So I'm talking about Skillet, the band I've been shitting on for the past few videos of mine. So I'm going to be doing a deep dive into their discography and history, but also discussing why I used to like them in the first place and why I definitely don't now. Skillet was formed around 1995, 1996. They actually came out with their self-titled record in 96. And I'm gonna kind of skip their first two records, self-titled and Hey You, I Love Your Soul. Those were kind of just a little more bland and boring records that didn't really put Skillet on the map, in my opinion. There were a couple bangers on both of those albums, but I'm going to be starting with Invincible. Skillet has been around for a hot minute. If you grew up a Christian kid, you have heard Skillet before. So, Invincible. This record came out in the year 2000. Best Kept Secret was a pretty solid opening. Invincible, you know, the title track on that record was pretty solid. I thought it was, you know, good for the time, of course. I don't think any of their, I was going to say early records, but I don't think any of their records have aged well at all. So, Invincible was pretty solid. You saw John Cooper, the lead singer with long blonde hair. I think that's the only time in his career he's ever looked semi-alternative rather than a gun-toting MAGA freak show. But anyway, after Invincible came out, Alien Youth dropped in 2001. Now, this is the album that picked up a lot of steam for Skillet. Alien Youth was a pretty decent hit for the time for them. They started doing a lot more interviews, and people started to figure out the personality of the band and the lineup and, you know, kind of what inspired their music. That album was actually pretty solid. I still like Alien Youth. I actually still listen to Alien Youth myself. I think that's a pretty solid record where they moved away from a little bit more of the grunge influence they had in their early records and more into a little more nu metal sound, actually, and I liked it a lot. I think that was a pretty solid record. And then the one after that, in 2003, 2 years later, was Collide. They changed their logo like 18 times. Collide was a weird one. I liked about half of the songs on Collide, but I think that this was the start of a lyrical downfall for the band. They've always been writing a little more boring, very super surface level and relatable lyrics, but this kind of just was the most bland up until this point, I think I saw them. So Savior was actually a banger song off that album. Like I said, it was about half and half for me. Yeah! What you got, what you want, what you need, can I be your savior? Everything's gonna crash and break, but I know, yeah I know. What you got, what you want, what you need, gonna be your savior. Everything's gonna crash and break, your savior. Collide was great too. I think that intro with the strings was actually really gorgeous in that song. I think that whole string section really brought the whole track together. John's voice actually sounds really solid on that song. Those are like the top two for me. Maybe Fingernails top three off that album, but you know, the rest of it is kind of unlistenable. Then their big breakout mainstream record, which was Collide. Now, I talked about Collide a little bit in my video about Comrades. A lot of these songs have also aged like milk. They have aged terribly. Better Than Drugs used to be one of my favorite songs as like a 11-year-old who thought he was like edgy listening to a song about drug addiction. But the way they wrote out the lyrics to this song is, in my opinion, super insensitive to somebody who actually battles with drug addiction. I have myself as well. I've been sober for a little while now, but going through those experiences that I did with addiction and then listening back to this song confirms the reality to me that none of those band members at the time struggled with anything like that at all. It's just like, who is this inspiring now, you know? Like, you're better than drugs, your love is like wine. What does that even mean? What does it even mean? You know, is what it is. This album had a lot of really good riffs on it, but the lyrics themselves and John's voice it just didn't age well for me personally. Another one on there is Falling Inside the Black. That one also used to be one of my favorites as a preteen, and now I listen to it again and cringe so hard. Because, like, this lyrical content has just been used over and over. It has been used to death. It's like beating a dead horse with the content that's in this song. I can't do it, man. I can't. The riffs are incredible. I can't stand John anymore. I'm sorry. I can't stand John Cooper anymore. I will say the highest point on that record, and I want to say the best-selling song on that record, was Whispers in the Dark. I actually still love that song to this day. I still play that song regularly. I think that song was Skillet's peak. Whispers in the Dark was the best, in my opinion, Skillet ever got. They had their best drummer at the time. They had Ben, their guitar player, who was such an essential part of the band during these few years. Awake came out in 2009, and this was their last record with Ben. And this was when Jen Ledger joined the band. I think she was like 18 or 19 at the time when she joined this band. And John has said before that he would not have let her join the band if he knew how young she was. But I find that hard to believe as an adult now. How do you not know the age of somebody who's joining your band, dude? Like, you were 30, 25, 30, maybe, I don't know, like 20-something, late 20s, early 30s. When she joined the band, like, you weren't asking, like, hi, welcome to your audition. How old are you? Where are you from? Like, she looked 18 also. Like, she looked young, and you were just like, I don't know. It's a little is what it is. She's still, in my opinion, an incredible drummer and an incredible singer. She had a little solo EP she put out a few years back that I thought was pretty solid. It showed her really creative side instead of just, you know, whacking on some drums in a boring Skillet song and singing some boring lyrics. Awake was okay. Hero was also a breakout song from this, as well as Monster. If anybody has heard of the band Skillet, they've heard the song Monster. Monster, I think, is their second, if not most popular song they've made. I hate that song. I actually hated that song when I used to be a fan of Skillet. But Monster is literally, to a T, to its core, this song was made to sell the band. It was not made from a place of true creativity. Sometimes the song off that record, I think that's track number 10 or so, Sometimes was actually a good song. I think that was a pretty creative move of them to put towards the end of the record. But the rest of the album was not good. Even as a previous Skillet fan, this record ranked really low for me. This record was very bleh. So after that, in 2013, this I think was their biggest gap in a record yet, and it's because Awake skyrocketed them to doing really big tours and traveling a lot more than they were used to. So I'm sure that's why. But Rise came out in 2013, and this was actually the record that introduced me to Skillet. I think I got this record when I was 9. Let's see. Yeah, I was 9. I was 9 years old when I got this record. And for a 9-year-old, I thought this was the greatest album to ever bless my ears and be produced on the face of the earth. I thought this record was awesome, and it was my first taste of Skillet and my first taste of something a little heavier, a little more edgy compared to like pop or, other radio rock that I just heard, my parents listen to, or, we just put on the radio sometimes. So this album, all of the lyrical content is booty. This is around the time every band was saying tonight in their song. Tonight is the night. Tonight we will rise. Tonight we will stop saying tonight. I think this is the point in their career where they got too big for their own good and they started writing very boring, label-fed music. At this time, I think they were signed to Atlantic Records. So, of course, they're going to make Skillet, do something family friendly and a little more broad and, a little more on the nose than they were before. And before they were on the nose, like, they were on my nose. Sick of It was one of their singles off of this album. That one I thought was a banger at 9 years old, and now I hate it. You'll find a familiar theme with a lot of these songs. I look back at this record and wonder how it ever appealed to me in the first place. Rise, the title track, is the opening song on the album, and I think this is the track that aged the worst out of this whole record. They used clips of a school shooting, like audio clips of a school shooting at the end of this song, as well as other like tragedies and natural disasters, and the whole song is so unrelated to that at all.
Rise in revolution, rise.
911. There's a guy here with a gun. Ma'am? Ma'am? Kid, get under the table. Kid, get under the table.
We are getting in reports from all around the globe showing the highest unemployment rates since the end of World War II. Many are losing their jobs, their homes, and in many cases, their home.
Like, how would the mother of the victims of this shooting feel if she heard a song referencing to a shooting that her children died in, and the song was just talking about rising? How disgustingly insensitive. Like, oh my gosh. Like, the more and more I look back at this band, the more and more it confirms to me that they haven't been through shit. Actually, as a 9-year-old, that ending scared the crap out of me. But now I look back and view it as very, very insensitive. Like, how is that helping or contributing in any way to this horrible tragedy you're referencing in this booty song? Then we go into Not Gonna Die. And I will admit, the riffing and the song structure was awesome. I want to listen to it again still to this day, but I just can't get over We're Not Gonna Die Tonight. What? I re-listened to these songs in these records before making this, and it was rough. It was rough to get through, for sure. There's a couple other high points on this record I do want to mention. Circus for a Psycho, again, lyrics are so cringe. Like, you are not controlling this psycho within you. Moving forward, I think the riffing on that song is awesome. This is also when Seth joined the band, Seth Morrison, and I think he did bring a lot to the table instrumentally for the band. Even though he's in a crappy band, he's a very talented player, and I gotta give him creds for sure, because his playing on this song was really, really cool. There were, like, a lot of songs on this album that were huge. Fire and Fury, My Religion was played on a lot of Christian radio stations too. Last thing I want to mention about the Rise album, Madness in Me was another high point instrumentally and another super low point for lyrics. So Rise was not great looking back, and again, I loved it in the time it came. I was 9, okay, cut me some slack. Skillet was the first band I ever tried to figure out the lore for, all of the past members, all of the current members, the names, their interviews, their this, their that, they were the first band I ever kind of went down a rabbit hole for. I ended up going going through my memory box, I actually found the ticket to Winter Jam at Amalie Arena that I went to in Tampa to see Skillet specifically. This is proof right here. Skillet 2019. This was one of my best friends at the time that I went with, named Vanessa. Yeah, and then noticing too, my Grandma Joan is also in this picture. I also look so young, dude. Ugh. She's in heaven now. Love you, Grandma Joan. Shout out to you. But yeah, this is all just proof that I really was about it. Okay, back to the video. But anyway, moving forward, after Rise, they came out with Unleashed in 2016. And this is where they went full butt rock, full radio rock. Feel Invincible is also just physically cringe-inducing. I listen to Feel Invincible and I want to shrivel into a fucking raisin. Ugh! Stars was another one of their singles, as well as Back from the Dead. I think both of those were better singles. Stars was used in a motion picture, I believe it was The Shack. There's really no other high points on this album. I think every song is pretty bad, even the singles. Undefeated was one of my favorites at the time when the album came out, and now, after hearing actually talented and creative bands, I don't like it either. It was more for like the dads and the moms who were struggling to relate to their, edgy kids, so they picked this album up in, the Family Christian Bookstore or wherever the hell they found it. 2019, Victorious came out. And around this time, unfortunately, I did still consider myself a Skillet fan. This was before they got pretty political. They were talking about God on stage a lot. That's fine. A lot of people talk about their religion or morals or values or political views on stage. That's fine. As a Christian myself, I wasn't totally against it. John Cooper started a podcast called Cooper Stuff. And that whole podcast is just him talking about how much liberals piss him off. Very surface level, childish, deconstructing of very real social topics, kind of laughing off a lot of things people take seriously. I will say though, there was one singular high point off of this whole album, Back to Life. I used to like a few other songs, which I don't really want to go into very much. I think this song was really good for what it was. I don't think they were trying as much with this one to make it radio friendly. They got a little heavier with this song, and the outro to the track is actually really cool too, and very well produced and very well done. So I gotta give, credit where it's due. I definitely think they at least did one thing right on this album. But then after that, I stopped listening to Skillet. They also put on a good show. John Cooper doing the very stereotypical dad rock thing, though, where he comes out with, like, a giant fog jet or, like, a giant flame thrower thing that he holds with his hands to try to entertain you because their music won't do it enough. Fortunately, after Victorious, I stopped being a fan. I stopped listening to them. I stopped caring about them or buying any records or streaming any songs. And then in 2022, they came out with Dominion. And I was a little curious. I heard Surviving the Game, their lead single, when it came out for that album, and it was awful. I tried getting through this album. I'm not just gonna lie for the video. I tried getting through this album, and I got all the way to Dominion, track number 3, and I couldn't take any more. Then they just came out with an album called Revolution. And they're blowing up again, but
not for the right reasons.
What was the song called? It was called Unpopular. And he's talking about how him speaking truth has made him and his band unpopular. We're just above all of you guys, okay? We don't care about being popular. We care about speaking the cold, hard truth. Nobody needs to hear that shit from Skillet, dude. Nobody! But part of me also feels like they were pushing their political views a lot more to create a lot more hype after being a band for, like almost 30 years now. I guess they're maybe using that to stay relevant, but I don't really care. You shouldn't do that. Stop. You know, as much as it breaks my heart that Skillet has turned into a circus. See what I did there? Circus for a sec. Circus for a sec. If you've been a metal fan or a rock fan for a long time and you knew Skillet or listened to Skillet, I'm almost sure you don't listen to Skillet anymore. So one last thing I want to mention about this album, because I really don't want to talk about it more than I have to. It's frankly embarrassing and unlistenable. But there was a song on there where he's talking about faith, family, and freedom, and that one blew up on TikTok and Instagram, not because it was good, but because people were making fun of it. That song was just another, copy and paste, political dad kind of song. I still do have a soft spot in my heart for them, because they definitely opened up my world musically. But I feel like that's really the only purpose they serve. Some young Christian kid isn't allowed to listen to, Limp Bizkit talking about breaking shit. Their musical world begins with Skillet instead. As an adult now, looking back on what I once did love and appreciate, I can't help but despise it now. I gotta give it to them, though. They're talented people. After hearing actually talented and creative bands, I don't like it either. Jen and Seth are still in the band, and dang man, I would love to see them just do anything else but Skillet. I would love to see what they can do as a creative force outside the confines of a cringe octane core bad politics kind of band. They made good music, but it was so inconsistent and most of the time just bad or poorly written. I don't really think I have anything else to say here. So I hope this was helpful to people wondering why other people just, shit on Skillet. There is good reason, I promise. If you were a fan of Skillet or for some reason still are, there is good reason why none of us really like them anymore. Shout out Skillet for helping develop my music taste as a child, but I'm just gonna go ahead and take that shout out back. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you want to listen to any of my other rants, please go check out my other videos I've posted, or watch my next one. Have a great day.